Hey, how's it going, everybody? I wanted to do a video on three topics, and rather than doing three separate videos, I thought they are all linked in a way. Uh, so, courage, confidence, and emotional triggers. A week ago, someone posted on one of my videos asking my thoughts on dealing with emotional triggers. And I believe it's all linked. So, courage is something that I want to start talking about, and having a look at courage from a different perspective than you might have already thought of in the past. I posted on my Patreon recently about this, and I'll probably put this on Patreon first for a few weeks, if not a few months, and then I'll put it on the main channel. So, when we think of courage, we think of like going up against something scary, something that requires you to be brave and stand up. Remember always that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is when there is fear, but you still rise up anyway and you face whatever it is that's difficult or scary, regardless of the fact that fear still exists. So that's courage. Being brave is when you're afraid, when you're scared, when there's something that you're facing that you don't want to face, or it's uncomfortable, scary, but you still do it anyway. And confidence grows out of being able to do that more often. So the way we are is really quite fascinating. The more we do certain things, the more we condition ourselves into that kind of behavior. So for example, if the way that you can train a child, if you're a parent or a teacher, or the way you can train an animal, it's very similar. That's all conditioning. So there's going to be punishment and reward, right? Now, for human beings, our reward is fascinating. Like for the majority of people, the reward is attention, right? So it's something, for example, with our current president who loves, not for long, he's only got 5 days left, but, he's not the only one like this, but for him, what a lot of the people who are kind of like working against him don't realize is that he thrives off attention, right? Whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter to him. He's interested in being relevant. So whether or not, he's creating problems for people, creating problems for himself, or creating problems for the world, he's still in the news constantly, which makes him relevant, even though his relevance is not a positive relevance, it's a destructive, harmful one, okay? I don't want to get political here, I'm using him as an example, but the fact is that a lot of humans are this way. My brother just had a daughter, and she's like a year and a half, and you can see that, children love attention, and the reward is attention. So, as being a good parent or a good teacher, understanding that the reward that we give in order to train and to condition and to teach, we have to be careful where we give attention. Let's say if my brother's daughter is doing something wrong, and she gets all of a sudden all this attention from everyone in the room. Like the other day, she was playing with one of the trees, and it had these little round, red, like little berries, but they're not edible. They'd make her sick. And she grabbed one and was about to eat it, and everyone in the room was like, no! And of course she laughed because she got all this attention, right? So immediately she did it again, right? and she laughed when she did it again. So it's a very little example, but you can also translate that to the president of our country, who is doing that on a huge scale, who's, you know, a master of like keeping people interested in him, whether it's positive or negative. And unfortunately, most people are going to get that attention the easy way, which is by just, you know, bothering you, being a troll, trying to, like, you know, disrupt your flow, you know, slow down your roll, knock you off your high horse. These are all, you know, little sayings, but they're all the same sort of thing. It's when people are miserable or hurting or suffering, and you come along and you are energized, positive, because you're working on yourself. It's not because you're special in the sense that you don't have struggles in your life. No, positive people tend to have more struggles in their lives than the average person who's complaining and miserable and depressed. I mean, this is something that a lot of people don't understand, is that a lot of the most positive, strongest, kindest people are people that have gone through really difficult struggles in their lives, or are going through real difficult struggles. Understanding that attention, you know, as I've talked about in my videos going back 5 years now, attention is power, right? So what you put your attention on will grow more powerful in your life. So courage, as we think of it, is like to go up against something scary and big and a very difficult challenge, right? I'd like to invite you all to think of courage in a different way, and that is when confronting temptation, right? I have recently, I would say in the last year or so, been looking at courage from that perspective more. When you're faced with temptation that you know isn't good for your life, you know it doesn't serve you, it's not healthy. It could be the temptation to eat something that's not good for you, something maybe sweet or sugary or whatever, something fatty, something with a lot of carbs, whatever it is that isn't good for you. It could be anything. It could be meat. It could be anything. When you're faced with, you know, smoking cigarettes or smoking weed or taking some pills or drinking, or the temptation to, you know, indulge in, you know, porn or some sort of sexual activity that you know isn't good for you, that you're trying to quit. Whatever it is, it could be even the temptation to hurt someone. It could be, and this is where we will go into the topic of emotionally being triggered, right? So the temptation to answer back or to punch back, verbally, I mean. If someone hurts you or says something or just does anything, gives you that negative feeling, gives you that vibe, you know, gives you that feeling that they are, you know, kind of like giving you some bad energy, bad vibes, or, you know, they're telling you something to knock you off your high horse or to slow your roll. We, in that moment, immediately, when we're triggered emotionally, we want to hurt back, right? So we get hurt, and in that moment, our emotion just like catches fire almost, and we lose our ability to control, you know? We lose our it's like losing your mind, right? You lose your ability to think, to control, because the emotion's so strong. You've been hurt, and the source of that pain can be from so many places, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to be coming from pain, from suffering. So whoever it is that's giving you this, you've got to understand that they are in pain, they are suffering. It doesn't make what they're doing right. It doesn't mean that you've got to be an emotional trash can to just take that from them either. But don't make it a personal thing. This is so important. Don't make it personal. In that moment, you're going to think that this is a personal attack on you. I can tell you that from my experience, from my life, from working with people all around the world for the last 5 years now, doing sessions, counseling sessions, that more times than not, I would say 70%, probably even higher, 80% of the time, it's not a personal thing against you. These people are likely behaving in this way to a lot of other people as well. Hold on a second, I might need to pause this and come back. Sorry guys, had a mail delivery, so I had to get that. So, it's not personal. Most of the time, people who are behaving like in a negative way, hurting you, or causing some sort of conflict or trying to bring you down, they are likely behaving this way to a lot of other people in their lives. Doesn't excuse their behavior, but you being able to understand this is going to put you in a better position to recover more quickly, which is what you want. You want to recover quickly. That emotional pain, that emotional trigger that you feel, you want that to dissolve and go away so that you can get your mind onto other things and get on with your day, right? When we're emotionally hurt, when we're emotionally triggered, we start to overthink. That person, the source of pain, winds up taking some real estate in our mind, right? Very temporarily. And I think the problem that people have is that when that lingers for too long, right? So the goal should be to spend as little time as possible on BS. Put that on a post-it note. A good friend of mine shared that with me several months ago. I put it on a post-it note. Spend as little time as possible on BS, on nonsense. Because those people who trigger us and hurt, and like the trolls, like the commander troll in chief that we currently have, or whoever it is, whether it's a little girl who's trying to get attention, by whatever means, that's what they want. They are feeding off attention, and they're going to probe, all the people around them, and they're going to find that weak link who's going to get irritated, who's going to get upset, who's going to get bothered, and who's going to ultimately engage with them, right? So that's what they want. They want someone to engage with them, give them that attention, give them love, right? It's their twisted, warped, sick misinterpretation of attention, interpreting it as love, right? Because for some reason they were not loved properly growing up, whether it's from their parents, their teachers, somewhere along the lines, they had an absence of the correct type of love. And in their minds, or where they have gotten to now, they are viewing just attention, people being interested in them, whether it's because they're doing something wrong, trying to irritate people. They don't have that ability or that faith or that understanding or enlightenment or education to understand that they can be a lot more successful in receiving that attention if they're kind, if they're pleasant to be around, right? So this also ties in with a word that I like to use, which is professionalism, being professional. I'm involved with construction for the project for the last year and a half. There's an old barn on my land that I've totally been remodeling it, redid the roof, redid the walls, redoing almost everything, totally gutting it out. And in the process, I've had to work with a lot of different contractors. And I can see that there are some contractors who are more professional than others. And professionalism is a beautiful thing. It's one of the aspects that I love about business. Business has so many good things about it. It's colorblind, it's religion blind. Yes, the problem with business is it's all about money, and that's an aspect of it that needs to be regulated somehow. We humans were still figuring it out. The way that it should be is that when companies get too greedy, their product and their service should suffer, and then demand should fail. But a lot of these companies, they become monopolies, they have too much control, and they're not. And our governments mistakenly continue to support them when they're about to fail, where it should be they should be allowed to fail so that smaller companies do better jobs and then attract. Anyway, so that's how it should naturally work. And by the way, sorry for the lighting. I got like this crazy bright window in front of me, so it's like flattering me and like, but I'm not a big fan of like this big brightness. But anyway, so professionalism, it's a beautiful thing. It's the way that I like to look at professionalism is the opposite of being personal, right? And I mean that in a good way. So, we can find a million things that we dislike about each other. I've said this in my previous videos. Even a family can find things within itself to hate one another and to be divided. Even within yourself, you can find things that you hate, and you find the conflict within yourself. So of course, we can all find an endless list of things that we dislike about each other. Now, being professional is when you put all that aside, and the goal is to make a living, to get a deal done, to do a good job so you can get more business, so you can make more income, so you can provide for your family and be more well off, be more comfortable, strengthen your survival, strengthen your family's survival, right? So professionalism is when you put all your emotions and your personal feelings aside, and you create this bridge between you and the person or the people that you're working with. And the more professional you can be, the more pleasant you will be to work with, and the more people will be attracted to you and will want to work with you. So something I have learned more in the last couple of years is to be a more pleasant person to work with. Because when you're more of a pleasant person to work with, you will receive more opportunities. I run a record label, and I will have the opportunity to work with a better distribution company who do better work distributing my music to customers. Whereas if I'm going to have like a bad attitude and I'm going to take things personally, and I'm going to, someone says something on an email and I respond emotionally because I'm triggered, well, then I'm going to find like-minded people, and my distributor is going to probably be childish, emotional, personal. Everybody in my world is going to wind up reflecting my behavior. Whereas if I am professional and I rise above, I'm going to find, one way or another, as they say, the cream rises to the top. You will always reach where you should be. Okay, so a lot of us, we are exactly where we want to be because of who we are, the type of person we are, the type of behavior we are emitting and radiating, right? So being professional is a wonderful thing, and it's a spiritual thing. It's one of the aspects of business where I think I see great similarities with, spirituality. Being patient, putting something else, having a higher purpose above, even though in business that higher purpose is money, but it's still basically putting your attention on a greater purpose. rather than getting bogged down with little disputes and arguments, which are for people who don't have anything better to do, right? So people who usually get caught up in drama or, bugging each other and bothering each other don't have much else going on, right? If you're busy, which I'm sure you've all experienced moments in your lives when you've been busy, engaged, occupied, right? You don't have time for that stuff. And it's usually when your life is doing better. It's when you're focused on more important things. You don't have the time or the energy to argue or dispute or get involved with, wrestling with pigs. You're busy on a greater, something more important, right? So, without going on too much, I would say a very important technique for when you're triggered is react slowly. All right? It's easier said than done, but this is what has helped me a lot in the last few years, and it's what I am currently. It's one of my big focuses in my life, because we all get triggered. Yeah, I get triggered every day, but the key is to reduce. It's sort of like if you're into health and training, and there is circuit training, right? Circuit training is that there's a circuit of different stations, we call them. Like one station will be jump rope, the next station will be to lift some weights, the next station will be pull-ups, and so on and so forth. That's a circuit of different exercises, and you go from one to the other to the other. Now, a very good way of training endurance, and for MMA or for any type of extremely difficult sport, is to try to reduce your rest time between those activities. That's a way that you can improve your health and fitness and your strength and endurance. And it's the same application when it comes to being triggered. So what we want to do when we're triggered is we want to reduce the recovery time, the time it takes for you to feel okay and at peace again. Now, some important things for you to know if you are interested in improving this aspect of your life is write it down, because it's always going to leave your mind. Our mind tends to, unfortunately, lean towards negative, fearful thinking. So a very common thought and feeling and belief that a lot of us have when we're triggered or when we're hurt is that this is going to last forever. The way I feel now hurt, I'm going to feel like this forever now, right? And it's an unconscious thought, which means you're not really aware of this. You're just believing it without awareness. So you're just suddenly triggered, you feel terrible, you feel hurt, you feel angry, you feel inflamed, and there's this underlying belief that this person has hurt me and I'm always going to feel this way now, and in order to get rid of this pain, I have to lash out at them. The pain that's coming to me, I'm going to carry it, make a fireball, and do a Hadouken, and hit them back with it, right? So that's what most of us do. We get hurt and then we fire back immediately. I'm saying, and what has helped me and what will help a lot of us to be more professional or to be more in peace and unaffected, is react slowly. And in order for you to react slowly, you're going to need to have this faith and belief that the way you feel isn't going to last very long. You're not going to feel that way for very long. It's going to go away. It will most likely take a day. It could be much sooner for a lot of people. For the majority of people, it's going to be sooner. But for some people, it's going to last a day. And for some people, it could last longer than a day. What will make it last longer is if you're thinking about it, if you're putting your attention on it. What will make it last sooner or go a lot more quickly is if you are able to put your attention onto something else. Now, this is all easier said than done. I understand why you would put your attention on something else, as opposed to why you would wind up stewing and keep thinking about this. Now, our mind wants to come to a calculation when we're hurt. It wants to figure out how to process what's just happened and come up with a good story, a good narrative that puts us back in a strong position. So if someone says, oh, you stink and you've always stunk your whole life, now your incredible narrative that you had for your life, where you're going along and everything is great and you're trying to create this storyline, this narrative for your life that keeps you enriched and fills you with energy and inspiration, and it's important to have that good narrative, has now been, stained, and it's affected your self-belief. It's affected, it's put doubt into you. Always remember, I've made videos on this, that the positive, the good people, the good things in your life will always fill you with self-belief. When you leave them, after you've talked to them, you'll feel inspired, motivated, energized, strengthened. You'll feel more self-belief. And those things that bring us down, that hurt us, the people, the foods, whatever, the activities, the gyms, the environments, the schools, the teachers, the music that you have to watch out for, will fill you with self-doubt. Again, going back to our glorious Commander-in-Chief, which thank God we're only going to have for just a few days, he's a master of creating doubt. He's an agent of chaos and doubt. He reminds me a little, go off the topic a little bit, of the scene from Batman. I believe it's The Dark Knight, where the Joker puts explosives on two ferries and gives the detonators to the opposing boats, and there's a boat full of convicts and there's a boat full of civilians, and the first boat to push the button will blow the other boat up and they will get to live. And I remember at the end of that scene, which was a great scene, was the Joker's aim in that was to try to create chaos and to get everyone to fight with each other, creating division, to get everyone at each other's throats, right? And I remember, Christian Bale says, tonight Gotham showed you that you're the sick one, that everyone's wants to just get on with their lives. And you know what? That's the world we live in. We all just want to pay our bills. We want to be able to protect our families and enjoy our lives. We don't want to be fighting with each other. Unfortunately, the World War II generation, they're all dying, dead or dying, and they're so valuable because they're the ones who have experienced the horrors of war. They're the humble ones, because war humbles people. I was young. When I was born, I was in one war at age 1. I was in the middle of the Iran-Iraq war. My mom had me when I was a little baby, and her town was being bombarded and bombed, and she had to flee. And then again when I was 10, against the same country, Iraq invaded where I lived, Kuwait, and I was in a 3-week invasion occupation. We had to escape by a convoy, and I was 10 at the time. Now, the thing with war is that when you watch movies, it glorifies it, and there's a lot of people in this country who have never really experienced war. Even a lot of soldiers. I have a lot of friends who are soldiers. Yes, a lot of military, especially Army, Marines, have, we've got people in our family, we've got friends who have lost their lives, to IEDs, to, if you talk to soldiers who have experienced war, war is the last thing you would ever want. And people who incite war and who are so eager to go to war, I really wonder how many of them have really ever experienced, war. I doubt it's very many. So unfortunately, we're missing, and we're really like in need of that World War II generation. You know that they're dying now, and we're beginning to forget. You know, but it's so important to remember that um, life is short. We all want to enjoy our life. We're all the same. You know, we all have the same needs. And as I said at the beginning of this video, even within a family, there can be divisions. Even within yourself, there can be divisions. So we're a lot better off when we're working together and trying to help each other. You know, improve each other's lives. So, just in wrapping up this video, because I can go on and on and on. I want to bring in where confidence comes into this. So think about courage, you know, that I mentioned earlier. Courage isn't only like standing up against a bully, you know. Courage is also standing up against the bully, which is temptation, right? That itch that we have, that you want to scratch it, you want to watch that porn, or you want to like indulge in your unhealthy sexual addictions. Remember, addictions are things that take control of us. So if you're in control of all these things, if you're in control of your diet, or if you're in control of your porn, your weed, your alcohol, your smoking, good for you, well done. But I'm talking about when you are not in control, when you're spending all day like wishing you were doing something else, but you're just under the control of some sort of, you know, drug, whether it's porn, overthinking, whatever, or that temptation to hurt back or strike back something that someone has told you. So having that courage in that moment when you're triggered to just react slowly, right? When I say react slowly, like give it a day, give it a couple of days, you're going to feel a lot better. Allow yourself to rewrite, you know, to process that mental narrative that's going to bring you back onto track. And a lot of that mental rewriting is going to be, you know, the truth that will set you free. The truth that whoever's hurt you doesn't have the best life, is struggling, is in pain. Understand that. Rise above. When you realize these people are hurting, their lives are not that great. People who are happy usually don't go around hurting people. People who are happy are usually very chill, they're kind, they're content, they're at peace. People who are struggling in pain, who are jealous, who are depressed, you know, they're the ones who are going to try to knock you off your high horse. So if you do get inflicted by some of that bad vibes, that hurt, that pain, work on your mental narrative, rise up. And it might mean that, yes, if you, in a day you still have some feelings that you do want to say something back to this person, then go ahead and do it. Keep it as small as possible. You do not want to engage with this person. That person will want to engage with you, will want to drag this on for as long as possible to feed off your attention, your energy, your love, right? Because you're only going to give attention to something you care about. And that's the key word there, is care. They are getting this twisted form of love from your attention. So I have found that love, as cheesy as it sounds, as hokey as it sounds, has been 9 times, if not 10 times out of 10, the best solution. So by not responding quickly to an emotional trigger, it gives me this space and this opportunity to remember love as a tactic, as an option, as a method. And you know, I'll be honest with you, love is not always the first thing that comes to my mind. The first thing is usually, what the, you know, and I'm like, that mother, or, you know, oh yeah, is that what you think? Well, take some of, right? That's my initial, that's usually, you know, the first things. Or it's like shock, or, right? And I think for a lot of us, it's the same way. It's that fight or flight instinctual reaction. It's because we're being attacked and our body is still evolving. So our body is still, it's interpreting a verbal, energetic, mental attack through words or through behavior or whatever. It's interpreting that as a physical assault on us. So, when we're physically assaulted, our instinct is designed to override our mind, to protect us. Because if you're suddenly attacked by a tiger or an animal or a coyote or whatever, or a person, your body is trying to protect you by disabling your mind. Because in that moment, milliseconds are important. And when you're attacked, someone throws a punch at you, you don't want to stop and think, oh, should I love this person? No, you're going to get knocked out or hurt. Your body is going to do flight or flight. It's going to get you to immediately hit back or run away, right? So that's what's going on, and understand that's what's happening when you're triggered. Understand that we're inhabiting a body that is trying to catch up to our society. Our body is trying to evolve, and it's still behind. It's still maybe 1,000 years behind. So that's why our awareness is important, because, as a lot of great spiritual teachers have pointed to, our awareness is an aspect of our evolution, right? And if you can practice your awareness, and I can practice it, and all of us can practice it, then it's likely that the next generation, our children's children, will have that more programmed in their DNA, and they will have it, they will carry it on, and that's how our human species is going to evolve and not be so triggered. We're the ones experiencing the painful evolution. They will experience another step in evolution. It might not be being triggered. Maybe they're going to look back 50 years from now and be like, can you imagine how we were like monkeys, just being so easily irritated by each other and hurting each other. Now, like, we don't have that problem, but now our problem is whatever, it could be something else in the future. So we're always going to be constantly evolving. For those of you who are new to this channel, now you're probably understanding why it's called Mouth of the Ape, because there's a lot of information here that I like to share with everyone, and let's try to wrap this video up. So when you're emotionally triggered, be aware, okay? The truth will set you free. The truth is they're suffering, they're in pain, they're not at your level. They're trying to make you feel that they're better than you by pulling you down to their level. So your job is to react slowly, override your primal instinct to hit back. Just be aware of that. You're going to feel that pain. You're going to feel that, oh, I'm triggered. Oh, this feels horrible. I feel pain. This isn't going to last forever. That's part of your narrative. I will feel better as the day goes by. In a week, I'm going to forget this completely. I'm going to forget this person completely. React slowly. If you feel like you need to respond even in a day or two, the best is always to just not engage at all. That's the best. Or even, better than not engaging is to engage with love, is to say, I love you, but, don't have to say it in those words, but to engage from a genuine place of love, your intention. You don't want to say, I love you, but then your heart is actually saying, F you, I hope you die, and I hope your whole family and your whole life goes down the drain. The intention behind whatever you say is more important, and the intention should be love and peace, because that is the high road. What does the high road mean? It means you are stronger, you are better, you are much more powerful, and this is a tiny distraction on your road. I would react slowly. That's what I've been doing, working on. It's helping me a lot. So don't react quickly. Take some time out. Take a day out. gives you that opportunity to remember love as an option. And using love as an option requires intelligence. It requires really having good ability of strategy, of tactics, but in a good way. Remember in the prayer it says, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. I bring that statement into a lot of my triggering experiences. So I will always treat that person with forgiveness. I'll say, you know what, I forgive that person. They're suffering, they're struggling, they're not happy with themselves, they are upset, they're taking it out on me. Don't take it personally. Write these things down. Don't react quickly. Don't take it personally. This person is probably behaving this way to a lot of other people. Most of all to themselves. They're treating themselves poorly. Try to get to that place of responding with love, right? Responding with love is not a weak thing, so don't take it as like some sort of hippie, nonsense. Responding with love is the smartest way. I remember Michelle Obama in one of her speeches when Biden was running. She said that she had found that love is the only way to deal with such bitterness. And I 100% agree. I have just spent, the last 3 years helping a very close family member through terrible divorce with a very bitter person on the other side, daily trying to make their lives hell, torment them daily. And we found that the best way to deal with this person was to love them, to pray for them, to forgive them every day, to not allow them to pull us into the gutter, into their world, and to retain our focus. And you're going to benefit from it. Because at the end of the day, this is all about you and how you feel. And you want to feel that clean heart, that clean mind, to wake up in the morning, to be able to sleep well at night, to have that clear conscience. And I can tell you that for me, at least, having experienced everything I have in my life, I don't see anything more valuable than that, to have that clean heart, clean conscience, that good energy. Everything in your life will stem from that place. So your relationships will be a reflection of how you feel, your business success, your income, your friendships, your everything in your life. Being humble is important too, because a lot of us, when we're in that state, when we're doing good, and by the way, let me just a reminder that doing good and being in that state doesn't mean we don't have issues in our lives. Everyone has issues in their lives. We all struggle. We are all going through pain. It's just some people are just, I look at them as they're like children. They just haven't learned how to deal with all that difficulty. And when they get all this pain and difficulty, they just want to dump it on other people, or they want to make other people feel bad. Whereas a lot of other people, what we're doing is we're getting that pain, we're feeling it, and we're dealing with the crap of everyday life, bills, being on the phone to your internet company, or being on hold with whoever. We're going through all that as well. We're having sick people in our family. We're having people pass away in our family. We're going through breakups. We're going through, financial issues. We're going through all of that. We've got our health issues as well, except that we're trying to take all that pain and that struggle, and we're trying to process it in a way that we're not going to spill it and spread it to others. We're going to bring goodness to others, and we're going to work on processing all that crap, ourselves. So, and there's a lot of ways to do it. Music, martial arts, sports, hiking, walking, reading. It's a million ways. We're blessed. We have so many ways to process all that we're going through. So, in wrapping up, and those of you who have been watching my videos for years and years will probably know that a lot of the good stuff I always put right at the end. So here's like some good tips, good things to understand. So confidence I'll probably make another video on confidence. But just for now, confidence is going to stem out of, victories usually. Confidence stems from, doing well at work, doing well at relationships, doing well at your health, being successful. The more you can see victories showing up in your life, the more confident you get this feeling of like, I'm doing something right. I get this feeling of self-worth, of your self-image increases. You look up at yourself more. You feel you're more able, more relevant, more useful, stronger, better, right? The more failures you have, the more losses, the more disappointments you have, that can negatively impact your confidence, right? But what is very important, a lot of you out there might be already understanding and thinking, is the way you look at all of this. So there are people that, I wrote this down the other day, that when you fail, declare victory. This is so the way you look at things is important too. Our president, our current president for a few more days, he's got a lot of negative things about him, but he's got some things that we can all learn from as well, believe it or not. He doesn't give up. He's a fighter. Maybe a bit too much. It's important to be able to accept defeat, learn from our defeat, come back stronger and better, understand where we've done wrong. But the way you look at things, for example, Elon Musk launched that unbelievable launch that, exploded, right? I watched it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, this huge, incredible, just amazing, like, rocket ship that he's created, Starship, right? It launched it, he started maneuvering it, like this huge, like stainless steel object, maneuvering, coming down, and then it landed and exploded, right? Immediately he responded, he put a video out saying that we're so happy with our successful launch, it was a huge success. So even in failure, he's declaring victory. So yes, confidence, stems out of success, but it stems out of successful way of looking at things, right? Having said that, I think it's important that you gather more victories, right? And gathering more victories requires you to be clever in your decision making, surround yourself with right people, with good people, put yourself in positions where you're going to succeed more. And try to be more careful and thoughtful of like putting yourself in positions or maneuvering out of situations where you're going to see more failure and problems and mistakes. I will make a more longer, less rushed video on confidence next. I'm posting a lot more of my videos on my Patreon page. To those of you who are on my Patreon supporting me, I'm indebted to you, I'm humbled by you, and I continue to make videos and share them for you guys. And I hope there's something in here that helps. And yeah, if you guys have questions or cool ideas for videos, post them up, and I will for sure consider them. And check out my Patreon page if you'd like to see more of my videos. And adios for now. Not crazy religious, but God bless all of you guys. God guide all of you guys. I hope you will all be guided with strength, love, wisdom, and that you will all be in a position to be able to share good vibes, to be patient with each other, to identify pain and struggle that's going on. Doesn't mean that you have to be an emotional trash can for people, but don't engage, rise above. If you can help by doing that all in a loving way, good for you. It will set you free. It will stop you from stewing and thinking about these people. It will allow you to forgive them and forgive yourself and move on and get on with cool stuff. So adios for now, and I'll talk to you all soon.